Hello, hello, cool cats and party people. So, what do we got going on today? Well, I found out today that the Tactical Marine, the long-standing flagship model of Games Workshop, today has been relegated to Legends. For those who don't know, that means they are no longer relevant in tournament play and are essentially being phased out. In addition, a lot of models released with the Primaris line. The Centurion was before the Primaris line. Um, I don't remember. The big flying guy with guns was a very unpopular model. But here we have a bright yellow Space Marine. Just some demonic yellow primer from Army Painter. Absolute garbage primer, wildly enough. It was what's up, people? I know, very typical of GW indeed. I mean, they're I can't believe they're phasing out Primaris models, but they're also doing like the Whirlwind, the Predator, the Vindicator, all the Rhino chassis tanks hitting the bricks. Rest in peace. But Chaos will continue to have them. I think, fingers crossed, it would be a great way to differentiate Chaos models from the Loyalist floating tanks. But anyway, this is what kind of I'm aiming for here. For those who do not know, this is a Lamenter. I mean, I'm not as far as the lore for these guys goes. I just like them because they're yellow, essentially. Yellow, and they have one hell of a shoulder pad to paint there. Man, it is a slog. I will be doing a full-length video about these guys soon. So, yeah, that's a good point regarding the fans. Well, the funny thing with GW is that they will continue to do what they want because they hold Space Marines hostage. It's like, compare that to like a World War II game. No one owns the likeness. Maybe the government does, but you can't have two different companies produce the model kit for an M4 Sherman, for example, and then one says, "Hey, you can't do that. I own the M4 Sherman." It's like, no, you don't, bro. That was a tank that existed. I don't know. Do the math. 60 years ago, 60 plus years ago. Anyway, so as I was saying earlier, this is kind of a chopped primer job. I don't know if I can zoom in anymore. I'm trying to balance the focus here. I mean, it's not the worst primer job I've had as far as the Space Marines in this project go. But you can see, like, you have a little bit of texture in, like, this area back here. You know, I have to admit, I primed these on a day where it was kind of humid. The paint catches the moisture, and it adds texture when it finally lands on the model. But then I also tried on a day with perfect weather. The humidity was at like a dew point of like 60, maybe less, maybe even in the 50s. Like, the humidity should not have been an issue. And I was still getting this sandpaper prime job. So I really do think that something happened with Army Painter's demonic yellow primer that really just, you know, it just went down and shitified, as many things do this day and age. Which is wild, because at one point, that spray paint was my savior. It saved me so much time of doing layer after layer of yellow. But I'll show you how I work with yellow now, even with a fucked up prime job like this. No, so this model actually, that's a good question. This model was at one point primed with the demonic yellow Army Painter. But I stripped it using rubbing alcohol, which is like my new favorite thing in the world to do. Then I hand primed it and worked up the yellow from there. Um, Let me see. I don't think a I don't have a model handy that started with the primer and then I just kind of worked up from there. But I'll show you what I do with kind of like a subpar yellow. And it doesn't start with yellow. It starts with buff, bone, the bone tone. Um, the GW old heads out there will remember bleached bone was a tremendous paint. Like I love this buff, whatever you want to call it, amarillo kaki, as the Spanish in Spain would say, as well as the people who make Vallejo paints, as this is a Spanish company. Where'd that damn focus? There we go. Amarillo kaki. So I start with that. Let's pick a big brush. This is a three that has seen better days. And so all I'm going to do right now, the secret to my yellows, for better or for worse, is a buff bone kaki undertone or undercoat, I guess you should say. And I'm just going to apply that ish everywhere. I would like to work just off the primer itself. However, the yellow is kind of spotty. And this is a color you kind of have to groom as you go. I'll make sure that's in frame here. So I kind of prefer to just, the yellow primer is fine. Like it will still kind of show through the buff. If there's an area that's like really yellow, I might not hit it. But the yellow on this model is thin enough where it's got kind of like a greenish tinge to it, which is what I do not want. And if something's jacked with like my focus or something, let me know. This is my first live stream, so I am learning. And I'll tell you, painting minis is one thing, but painting minis on camera is an entirely different beast. It would be so easy to just not worry about, the focus or whatever, but the people got to see. The people have to see and understand. So I'm going to do my best. It's already starting to dry in the places I put it down first. That's what I love about painting in the summer. And we got some bubbles. I hate that. You can kind of see it there on like the backpack here. I'm just gonna poke them. That generally means there's too much water in the mix. If it's forming bubbles like that, I thinned it out too much, which really doesn't bother me that much, because it doesn't need to be a full coat. It just needs to be thin because I'm building over top of this. Like yellow is gonna take like a good 3-4 coats. I don't know. Like you have to. Man, I could talk about painting yellow all day, but I only think I need to do it for the next like hour. um, yeah, I mean, so like as I'm gonna go, like there's gonna be goofs all over the areas I want to paint yellow. So I always save it for last. Like I get a good base yellow going, but when I paint on the other colors, the reds, the metallics, the greens, whatever, I'm going to get it on the yellow armor. So you know, I would rather paint over areas that are not yellow with just one coat. Like if I get yellow on my metallic, I just coat it again with the metallic. But if I get my metallic on my yellow, that's a pain in the butt. So I have to work around that. And still got some bubbles here. Thank you, Zeus. What's up, Joseph? Old Joeykins. All right, let's see here. I do have some other minis that if the paint was applied a little too thick on this mini, and I can show you where I'm at with some of these other guys. I'm also currently working on a squad of Devastators, which also are now legends. We love that. These are a little farther along. I just finished pin washing these, and I'm going over these with a second coat. I just finished the red. You can kind of see where I'm going here with the yellow. This has gotten the bone undercoat treatment, but you can see here there's like colors from the base. There's bits of metal here and there. Like yellow, you have to groom. All right, let's see here. I think that's good. All right, let's put on that second coat of yellow. I don't know what you're talking about, man. Your name is Joseph. It says on the live chat here. All right, just applying that yellow, keeping it thin. Nothing looks worse than a thick yellow. The yeah, there's like a weird, I don't know how to describe it. It just kind of dawned on me the other day. There's like a gumminess to yellow paint that like I don't see in other colors. Like I don't, it's got to be the pigment, right? But it feels thicker. Oh, a little out of focus or out of frame there. You can see we got the bubbles. We're going in a little thin. Yellow is a dance. It requires grace and patience. All right. One thing I've learned that I like about more retro schemes like the Lamenters. I mean, people do very good kind of like modern takes on it. But my God, I love just a ton of primary colors on a model. I'm talking like Christmas green and red, like bright, yellows, blues, just straight from the pot ass colors. Uh, they're so vibrant. And it's like the pieces you're painting are so small. Are we still in frame here? Yes, we are. Um, that I want them to stand out. I mean, like, yeah, there's the whole lore thing about Space Marines not doing camouflage. Um, but I mean, if the piece is so small, it's going to be harder to see if you paint it in like earthy tones. And I mean, there's some chapters do it well. Do you guys want to see my palette? Like, I mean, this is a mess, but like, if I put a paint down, Lamenters are always yellow. Um, they're taxis. Someone saw a taxi at some point in the 80s at Games Workshop and said, you know what, that should be a Space Marine chapter. And, hey, why not? Although, that is, that's one of those kind of like bell curve questions in a way, because from like a lore perspective, the Lamenters were involved. Their like claim to fame was their involvement in the Badab War, Badab, Baydob. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that. I think that's left up to the viewers or the reader's imagination. Um, but and in that war, many of the Space Marine chapters. This was like the late '80s, early '90s. Many of those Space Marine chapters had camouflage schemes. The Salamanders had a really cool one. It was like black and yellow spots, like a salamander. And in fact, I think actually they're called salamanders because of that camouflage scheme. Just a theory, but I'm sticking to that. Who else? The Raptors, famous. What do you call them? Practical Marines, or whatever the phrase is. They're all olive green and they don't do all the nightly stuff. They're all like pouches and tactical gear and whatever. Um, they also had a camouflage scheme on Badab. Who else was there? Mantis Warriors, Executioners. The Executioners had some cool schemes out there. But not all of those survived into popularity in the contemporary kind of Warhammer consciousness, like the Lamenters did, like the Salamanders did. Um, the Astral Claws, now Red Corsairs, they just got their own designated model kit this year, I think. Time flies so fast. Who the hell knows anymore? Who the hell knows? All right, I think that's a pretty good base for my yellow there. That's probably going to need one more coat. I could see some areas I missed here in like the recesses of the backpack. Let's just dab that in real quick. I'm not super worried about it though, because I'm going to apply a wash there later. I love this paint handle, by the way. This finger rest is actually quite clutch for pulling details. You got your hand on one and your elbow on your desk, and like you're as stable as it gets. Um, though if the model's big enough, it does get in the way. I'll say that. I did a video about that. Painting D&D trolls. Um, the big question is what color I want to do next. I usually go by what covers the largest surface area, in order of how I paint my colors. Um, I think the next one would be red or metal, but I don't. If it's just the bolter, then it's going to be the bolter and the little like cheek bits. Yeah, right. Bone bone undercoat is like the magic sauce for painting yellow. Because if you're painting yellow over any other color, you need so many coats. But if you just put bone under a yellow, that's it. That's all you need. And like it is already a pretty solid yellow. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I do still wish that the I'll move this guy. I'll put this here. I do still wish that the spray paint worked, because when I was painting vehicles the last time, like I was doing up my Lamenter's army. This is like the third time I've like this army has been a project of mine. I did it once when 5th edition dropped. I did it again when me and my folk actually were playing one page rules. I started with a squad of Grey Knight Terminators, and then like accidentally just started collecting Lamenters again. Uh and then yeah, and then now I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it as a special, like a 1 year anniversary video, but you know that it just took forever to do. Like this project was way more than I thought it was going to be. Would that apply to other neon? Um so yes. For it depends on the kind of yellow you want. Like a if you wanted a warmer yellow, absolutely orange would work. I've heard good things about undercoating yellow with orange. Green would get you a cooler yellow, almost like a I actually like when I draw, I shade gold with green and yellow, like the green darker yellow and then like a bright color. That's true. Orange is tougher to paint because it's half yellow. There's yellow in the mix. You know, it's holding it back. It is a little easier than I don't need to be using a 3-0 for this. What am I doing? I'm using my fine detail brush. I do like orange a little more than painting orange a little bit more than painting yellow. But like I said, it's half yellow, half red, and red is like one of the easiest colors to paint. But I also undercoat my oranges with reds, which I think acts as a pretty strong basis. I'm going to highlight this red with an orange, if you can even call it that. Check this out. This is Amaranth Red. First of all, I didn't know Amaranth was this color. If it even is, like... Oh, I see. No, no, I would base orange with red, and then green. I would just go. I would do darker versions. Although blue, I have used as an undercoat for green if I'm trying to get it like a cooler color. Um, that's right. We're painting red. It's a good night for red painting. Every night's a good night for painting red. It's so forgiving. I love it. I have yet to collect a... Oh, I was going to say I've never collected a red army, but I have bloodletters. I have Demons of Corn, and they're all red. But then if you want to get kind of like a... I also have Soviet World War II models, and that's literally a red army. Oh, we got the jokes tonight, folks. We got the jokes tonight. But yeah. What colors haven't I painted in an army? I don't think I've ever painted a green army. I have painted one. I never owned it. I did a commission for a small Dark Angels army years ago. I did that so fast, which is not a good thing in this context. I was still kind of finding my chops in terms of painting. But you know the funny thing about commission painting, and this is actually, and this has actually happened to me, is that sometimes you paint a certain set of colors, like back in the old GW paint days, Dark Angels green with Goblin green highlights. Paint that Kroot Hound. Do I have a Kroot Hound? I don't know. I wouldn't be mad at painting Kroot though, because like I like doing alien skin tones. I painted some Murlocs recently. My friends and I were gonna do a D&D Warcraft campaign, which kind of fell through, unfortunately. See, look, there's a yellow goof right there on his helmet. It's never gonna stop. It's never gonna stop till you finish painting the yellow. Do I still take commissions? Yeah, I could take a commission. Absolutely. I'm always hungry for projects. I do want to wrap up these Space Marines first, though. But I will paint an army for $1. I am actually trying to set up like a business kind of site, methodology for taking payment and all that stuff. That is in the works. I am thinking of rolling that out. Kind of a little painting studio here. It's kind of it's very masochistic of me, but I do love painting armies. There's something about the efficiency of um um like time management, like knowing, okay, what is it's a strategy game in itself, right? um what is like the best um way to tackle this color if I'm painting 50 dudes, like, do I want to use a more, like, oh, and the leader here, he's got to have the special paint job, right? Like, how am I going to take the quick and dirty army scheme I have been doing and, amp that up for the head honcho in a time efficient manner, because I'm always looking to expedite things. If it's not for like, hey, I need to get this project done for this guy because, I told him I'd have it done by, I don't know, April or whatever. It's because like, oh, I got to get this video out this month, how can I do this quick and easy? I think that's all the red, all the skulls on the armor, the bolter casing, and the eye lenses. So we can jump over to the gunmetal. Army Painter Metallic. Has a bead in it. Good for shaking. Army Painter, I hate their demonic yellow primer, but their metallics have really taken it up a notch recently. They have two paints that I really love from their line. I forgot the name of they have like a new fancy metallic line. But it's Rough Iron. Excuse me. Rough Iron and Death Metal are phenomenal paints. Very cool finish. After you've washed them, because the base color in itself isn't, it's okay. It's like the Death Metal is kind of like a greenish. Yeah, the super chats thing. I have not, I don't, frankly, I have no idea what I'm doing. Uh, you know, I do not, I've not monetized my channel in any way. I don't know how to set up super chats. Um, that is something that I can look into, though, depending on how this goes. I might be doing more regular streams. At the very least, it's a way to keep me painting. But it's also like a cool way to sort of interact with the community. Yeah, Warpaint's Fanatic, that was it. Absolutely. Yeah, good stuff. They've upped their game recently with that. Oh, speaking of people who have upped their game, uh I got a bottle of paint from Reaper Miniatures. The guys that do the really cheap like D&D and Pathfinder models, like it was pretty good. I was surprised. It was a beautiful color. It was rich indigo. Um Color me impressed. I mean, I don't know if they're like taking it from the same factory as like other companies who make, acrylics, or if they've got their own formula or what's going on there, but like I did not hate it. I did not hate using that Reaper paint. I mean, I like the stuff that Reaper makes either way. It's great to Like, I mean, I used a bunch of their models for Warhammer Fantasy proxies. Um, I made um, like a Tomb King's army, and they had big scary skeletons, like $5 a model. Compare that to GW's, like, I mean, those models were out of production too, so it's like, what's that going to be? $30-$40 per model? No, thank you. I'll take the Reaper, please. You put it on a square base, it's the appropriate size, and like, what does it matter? I'm not playing in any, official tournaments or anything, so I'm just rolling dice with my buds. What's catchy line name? What, the War Painter Fanatic? How am I doing here? A bit of a mess, but that's okay. Where else? Oh, does he have the chest piping? He does. Like right in there. Let's see if I can get that focus going. Yeah, agreed. It does sound like a YouTube channel name. Yeah, I mean, there are some guys out there who will paint every part of the model, and even if you can't see it, and I get that, it's kind of a point of pride, but like, I would paint if his arms were open, if you were in a more open pose. He's got this little metal piping underneath of his breastplate. But no one in their right. I can draw a visible angle. I'm gonna get in there. I wouldn't say that I prefer painting larger armies to painting 10 dudes at a time. I mean, it depends. If it's an army of the same dude over and over again, I'm gonna want to bash my head against my desk, if it's like 120 dudes, all the same colors, so yeah, that's gonna get old. Compared to like 10 of the same dudes, but like, you know, as long as there's variety, like if it's 5 guys, with this loadout, or and then 10 guys with that loadout, then it's not really a big deal. As long as it changes every couple of guys. Well, I'll be danged. I did not grab my black brown here. It's over here somewhere. Bingo. Black brown. German camo black brown. I got this in a historical paint set and fell in love with it. Because and they I learned this with canvas painting, but you never want to use a straight black paint. It looks cheap. It flattens out everything. It makes it all look like plastic, or whatever material. So if you have a black paint that's like a little more gray, or if you have one that's a little more brown, as this one is, it adds a lot to the finished look. And this one's got like a nice warm tone to it. I mean, GW's released a lot of different black paints that have a different tint to it. This is the worst paint to get over the yellow, though, I'll tell you that. Because that shows through even the bone. You got to put like 2 or 3 coats of bone underneath the yellow before you reapply that. But I'm going to put this on the piping between the armor plates. Little joints here. The under armor, I guess. I don't know. I always forget about that spot in the arms there, but that counts. And the chest eagle. I like painting that dark because it really pops against the yellow there. Oh, there was still red. There was still red wet paint there. That's fun. Paint the little, there we go. Yeah, blue black would work too. Absolutely. As long as it's not just straight black paint. Put whatever color. It could be green, could be red, could be purple, dark, like a dark purple for a black color is just like amazing. All right, let's see if we can get a good shot here with the lighting. Because I want to paint. That's a good angle, I guess. But yeah, I'm a sucker for purple. I put purple in almost all of my armies, actually. Not as like a primary color, just like as a little accent, like, oh, like on my Lamenters, the Purity Seal wax is purple. Sometimes like lenses on like I don't know, like if half their face is robotics and they got like a big robot eye, I'll paint that purple. Screens on vehicles, like I just painted up an assault bike that had like a little screen on the between the handlebars, which is kind of funny. I mean, is that so fantasy nowadays that every car has an iPad on the dash? Like, I guess not. Um, but yeah, that's purple. Just nothing overwhelming. Just like sneaking it in here and there. Nothing crazy. All right, what are we looking at here? There's some spots in the back of the bolter I could hit with the metallics again. Just like get that brush up in there. Back of the magazine, maybe? No, that's good. That's good. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do now. Now that the base coats are down, very easy actually. Love that about um, this is I'm going to separate the base from the model just because it bothers me that the whole thing is yellow, the base included. So neutral gray, classic. And I'm going to paint the dirt that color. I'm kind of going for like an old mid 2000s, early 2000s. What's it called? White Dwarf heavy metal style base scheme. I'm a sucker for that. Their eyes are not purple. Their eyes are red. I don't know why I made that decision. Oh, you know what? I think I did try that a couple years back. I thought the purple, and it didn't quite feel Lamenters to me. Um, Not like the red did. Just a little accent, just a spot here and there. But the eyes command a lot of attention. Humans are naturally drawn to the rendition of faces. Um, in like if you see a I don't know like a cloud and it looks like a face, you can pick that out immediately. So like by putting purple in the eyes of the um miniature, that it's too much. It's just too much purple. But like yellow, black, white, red, it seems like a pretty reliable color combination there. Anyway, I was gonna paint the base. Just like I said, just to help separate and kind of kill that yellow overload here. This doesn't have to be a thick coat because I'm going to be treating it um, with a wash and a dry brush later, which is this how much damn near everything in mini painting can be solved with a wash and a dry brush, like I swear. Though Marines, I don't necessarily think as much, actually. I think a Marine is best treated with a pin wash and an edge highlight. Um, and now I know that lately it's been trendy to say to kind of rebuke the old heavy metal style GW method, but there's something about like a smooth marine armor where all the beautiful edges are just like just perfectly defined. It's so nice. But there's such good models, and that style of painting is not meant to convey any kind of realism. That style of painting was created to sell the sculpt, to accent and highlight the curvature, the topography of the model. It lets the model stand out on its own. So and I mean the old tactical marine, and even the new Primaris Marines. I'll say it. I'll say it. They're nice minis. They're nice minis. So why not sell that? Also, Goblin Green base. I don't own Goblin Green. Rest in peace. But I do have Vallejo Flat Green. Verde Olivia Oscuro. No habla español. Eu cohenso palabras de português. No habla español. All right, perfect. Well, far from it, but it's a start, and now it is decidedly just the Marine who is yellow, which is all I wanted. Oh, okay. And now we do a little washy wash. Start with a black wash. This one you really gotta shake. Because some washes, if you don't shake the crap out of them, they dry glossy. GW washes. And it's funny, actually. You can tell which miniatures I've painted that use a GW wash. I agree with that. Yeah, the Primaris are nice models. The lore was a train wreck. Um, but what was I saying before? Yeah, the GW washes. They if you don't shine them, they dry like glossy, and I hate that. So you can see which of the models were painted using like Nuln Oil and Agrax Earthshade. Let me get the focus here. There we go. Perfect. Um, So, and I was using Agrax Earthshade for a very long, not, yeah, Agrax Earthshade. I was using that for a very long time because I swore it was like the best brown wash. But then I got, and I'm sorry, my bottles are absolutely disgusting. Uh, look at that. It's a mess. This umber wash from Vallejo, and it solves all the problems. It doesn't dry super dark. It runs real nice. It's not like sludgy like GW washes are. Um, I love it. I love that umber wash so much. I've already gone through, like, I just bought my first bottle and I already had to get a backup. Yeah, and at this stage, like, you can see kind of, if I can get the camera to focus. There we go. You can see kind of here at the edge, there's still a little yellow peeking out from under that red. I'm not worried about that right now because subsequent coats will cover that up. Like, honestly, you can be as messy as you want until after the washes are dry. At that point, it's time to lock in a little bit. But yeah, just slap that ish on there. I got black wash on the hand. Don't even bother me. Don't even bother me. Not yet. Oh, I missed a spot with the gunmetal. That's okay. I'll just paint over that later. Don't even matter. Don't even bother me. All right, let's see. Get some of this. Some of this in there. Some of that in there. Okay. Very good. So what else gets the black wash? The eyes here. A little spot there. The little metallic bits on his face. Making sure we're in focus. There we go. And we're on the back side. Get that in there. Very good. Still in the shot. Get his face. Let's switch over to this. What brush is this? A 1. It's a 1 with a good tip, though. So, like, I'm not afraid of doing smaller areas with it. I guess a 1's a pretty standard brush size. Yeah. Yeah, that should be fine. And then I hit the joints, black wash. Very good. There's one more joint in the back here. And the chest eagle. Did I already get the chest eagle? It doesn't look like it. Oops, we're doing it again. So I have these magnifying glasses. They have a light on them. Well, they might be dead. Maybe not. All right. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if, like, I did wind up painting the piping under his chest plate. I forgot whether or not I had done that. So I'm going to hit that with a black wash too. And honestly, that's probably going to be it for that part. I'm not going to bother highlighting that or anything. Actually, we can wash the base too while we're here. That looks dry. No, that's not dry. Never mind. Never mind. But I could still get the rest of the base, I guess. No, no, I can't. You live and you learn. All right, let's see here. My grip fell over. We're going to switch over to the umber wash now. You know, sometimes I don't mind if the wash kind of blends with the color on the base. But I don't know. I guess I'm looking for something a little darker than like the black wash mixed with the neutral gray. So I'm going to wait. Get some of that umber wash going there. That's probably too much on the palette there, but if you don't win, you learn. All right, we're in shot. Very good. Are we in focus? Very good. And now we pin wash the entire Space Marine. We love doing that. You know, I'm not going to pretend I have the cleanest pin washes, although really this guy doesn't have like a lot of paint caked in the recesses, which is great. Makes my job a whole lot easier. But once you get that pin wash down, and then over top of that, you clean it up and you do the edge highlighting. It's so nice. When I first started painting Lamenters, live and learn, then get loves. Aw. When I first started painting Lamenters, I would paint the whole thing yellow, then wash the whole thing brown. And that second coat of yellow to build back up over that brown wash took just as long for like an okay result. So I've just taken to getting one good solid coat of yellow in, and then from there pin washing and saving myself a bunch of time. Yeah, it's this army is a lesson, a long-standing lesson in trial and error and figuring out how I want to paint yellow. I'm still pissed about that primer, man. That was such a blow to have my most trusted tool betray me and turn all of my models into sandpaper. But out of that, I learned what a phenomenal stripping agent rubbing alcohol is. I've been using Simple Green forever, and it worked, yeah, but like, man, I put some Razorbacks, rest in peace. Another classic Marine model relegated to Legends. I put some Razorbacks that had like 2 or 3 full coats of the yellow spray into rubbing alcohol. Left them for a day. Then the next day, I ran them through the sink, just to, because usually I'm used to like scrubbing panel lining. Yeah, so I ran the Razorbacks under the sink, and the rubbing alcohol made the 2 3 coats of yellow primer. It melted off. It just ran off with the water. My jaw hit the floor. Amazing. But yes, pin washing and panel lining, pretty much the same thing. Um, but yeah, dude, and I can see like a lot of white being a real slog. It's another bastard color, like yellow, to be honest. Real bastard to paint. The end results are beautiful, but like, they're a real pain in the tuchus. You got the knee pads and the little panels on the um thighs there. I really like these little notches carved out on the armor. I never used to paint those like when I collected these as a youth. Um but now it's everything. It breaks up the big otherwise plain forms. Makes it a little sci-fi. Makes it a little more interesting to look at. On some of my minis though, like they're long gone. Like I just painted a Devastator, rest in peace. Um that had, I kid you not, that Devastator had gone through 5 paint jobs that I know of. Cuz I bought it in high school from a kid who had first painted it as an ultramarine, then painted it black and red custom chapter, who then sold it to me, who then I painted in my custom chapter, which was like gray and like dark red. The paint, the old GW paint I used back then was red gore, was what it was called. Is like a nice, like a desaturated burgundy, a little less blue. Um, little less blue than a burgundy. Yeah, like it was burgundy. I guess you could say almost has like a slight purpleness to it. This did not. It was like never mind. So I painted it that scheme. Then I painted it with my first Lamenter scheme. And then I painted it with my second Lamenter scheme. Metal Crude Hound. You know what's funny? I think I know which one you're talking about. I would have to check my bits box. I think I still have that. Like from the White Dwarf subscription. Was that a White Dwarf subscription? I don't remember. I'll tell you what though. There was the first time I subscribed to White Dwarf, and that GW used to give you free minis for subscribing to White Dwarf. Now they do it for like Warhammer TV and stuff. They were the little pewter minis. They were very cool. I had a choice. I'll have to see. I'll have to see if I still have that mini. But I had a choice between a Tau Pathfinder. I did not collect Tau. I never have. And the other choice was a Chaos Sorcerer, like a little hunched roby guy. And I was such a fool. I said, well, I don't play Warhammer Fantasy, but I play Warhammer 40k. And at least the Tau is that same game. Not knowing that as I aged, I would stop caring about what model came from what source. And like a Chaos Sorcerer would have been phenomenal to have for even just like a 40k Chaos army. And then I also started collecting Hordes of Chaos Warhammer Fantasy down the road. So that was a dumb choice, you know, but who can say that they didn't make a stupid choice as a teenager that if they had foresight, they wouldn't have made? I think that's a pretty common lived experience. Not to say that that's the worst example of that I have, but that's one of them. I love pin washing the backpacks. They are, oh, they just take it so nice. Still in shot? No. And here's a fun trick for if you don't know. As you can see, I got a little wash on the outside of this little vent here. Watch this. It's gone. Just use the thumb. You can pick up paint with a brush too. Um, you can just wipe it away. Get some in there. Let me get you the money shot here. This is my favorite part because this is the easiest part of the marina wash. Get in there. Very good. Paint the Croot Hound. You know what's really messed up? I think I think I took green stuff and just mushed it all over the quills of that Croot Hound and turned it into like a big ugly shark fin. I don't know if that's still on there. Man, got my first when I got my first pack of green stuff, I was using it as the solution for everything. And I was so bad at it. Like I remember just like taking a glob of it and putting it on a 28 millimeter base and then mushing a Chaos Space Marine breastplate into the front, a backpack on the back, and like glooping a bunch of it over like a sword arm. And I was like, oh, it's a sorcerer in a robe with a staff. It was hideous. Inversely, however, that method worked really well with Chaos Spawn. And you know, old Chaos Marines used to come with that mutation sprue, and you could just mash a bunch of different of you know limbs, heads, whatever you wanted to into a big blob of green stuff, and say it's a Chaos Spawn, and it would be. It all came back to me. I was a little. I was like Croot Hound. When the hell did I ever? It did come back. It did come back. Defacing it though. It's so true. That poor little Doge. That poor little Doge. I forgot to do the feet. I usually like to start from the bottom up. No purity seals on this guy. Big shame. Big shame. I could have shown you guys some purple. Still in shot. No, you're missing all the action. Shame on me. That is correct. That is correct. There is a metal Kroot hound that hounds me in my sleep. That and the green stuff blob sorcerer. I close my eyes and I see them, and they say, "Kill me, end my suffering." Any purple in this figure? There's purple. I'm putting purple on the figure now. Don't lose hope, Zeus. Don't lose hope. I will, if I still have that green stuff chaos sorcerer, I will post pictures. I promise you. I should do a stream where I paint that guy. Oh my lord. Trying to save my um past mistakes. That would be something. You know, I often say that like um it's the models that make the paint job. Like if you have a good model, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you slop a bunch of paint all over it and obscure the detail, it's going to look like trash. Sure. Um but like, and you know, you could put a lot of effort into it. Oh, that's a good idea too. That's a good idea too. I have to see if I still have any Chaos Space Marine bits laying around though. It's been so long since I've collected any miniatures from that line. That's not a bad idea either. Because then I can trot out that old miniature. But, you know, I have been meaning to give green stuff sculpting another spin. That Kroot Hound. No, that Kroot Hound's got 4 legs. Get out of here. He's got 4 legs. I did not snip any legs off. All I did was turn his quills into a giant shark fin. $20. We'll see. I know that it had like I remember it having like a funny pose. Um that it wasn't like all 4, you know, square on the floor. It was kind of like, you know how like when horses or other like cheetahs run, like their legs kind of go like this. It was like 2 of his legs were in that kind of like V shape. I can't say I know much about Marvel lore. Personally, I was never a big superhero guy. And I think it's kind of too dynamic. The legs did come in 2 parts, if I remember. Like you had to glue the legs on. Oh my god. No, you might be right. No, you might be right. It might only have two legs. Oh, dang. Oh no. Oh, that Jeff the Shark. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. I know which one you're talking about. I see like the Marvel I see a lot of Marvel rival memes, I guess, pop up on the internet from time to time. Wow, that was a butchered attempt to pull that line. I'm gonna see if I can get. I'm gonna be so mad if you're right about that Kroot Hound. No, I'm not gonna be mad, but it would be funny if you remembered a model that I had forgotten about that had been relegated to the childhood bits box. It is kind of funny though how complex like the model freebies have gotten for like subscriptions. Like in terms of like the Warhammer Plus membership models versus the old White Dwarf models. I got a Volton though from was a Storm of Chaos, Warhammer Fantasy Storm of Chaos. That was a sick model. It's a big bearded guy in armor holding a hammer, like sick. Yeah. Alas, if I were only able to say that was the greatest regret of my youth was picking the stinking Kroot Hound over a Chaos Sorcerer. Oh, folks, I missed a spot here on this bolter here. I always miss this part, the butt of the pistol grip. And of course, by now, all the metallic paint I had on my palette has dried. That's another thing I've been thinking about lately is switching over to like a wet palette, trying that one out. I don't know. Like I used one when I did canvas painting. Um a little bit. It I don't know. It never really stuck with me, I guess. I don't know what phrase to it, you know. I thought it was all right. I think a little bit more oil painting than acrylic painting. And like oil paint never dries. Well, not of course not technically true, but it takes forever to dry. You can deliver a finished painting that's still drying like day after. We got some ugliness here. Little plastic flash, it looks like. Maybe some paint gunk. Let's take a knife. Kind of scrape that off there, see what happens. This knife is dull as a spoon. All right. Well, the worst part of it's off. I'm not super worried about like the finished project or the finished product in terms of like you can see this guy still got like mold lines on him and stuff. I don't know. I bought a lot of these models when I was young. So to me, like having them in like a pretty crappy post assembly finish, I guess you could say, is part of the charm for me. It's a game piece. Like, I'm not trying to win a golden demon with this guy here. All right. Yeah, the pin washing's a little bit messy. But that's okay because we're gonna clean it up later. Stolen shot. Yes. Very good. Very good. Man, I still can't believe that like they're sending Primaris units to Legends. It's wild. The Primaris are gonna get the Primaris treatment. They're gonna have the Secundus Marines. And these Marines are 11 feet tall. And they have the Mark 11 armor. And they have 3 wounds and toughness 6. And you have to buy a whole new collection again. Yeah. But rest in peace, Tactical Marines. Rest in peace, Razorbacks. Rest in peace, Whirlwinds. Pour one out for the little fellas. I will say though, I have recently been thinking of at least painting a Primaris Marine. Maybe I'd buy one. Maybe I'll buy 2. Maybe I scoop up a Primaris half of the Armageddon set. I don't know. This happened today. They announced this today, which is wild. I was like, oh, I'm just going to paint a Tactical Marine today. Little did I know. But I mean, the writing was on the wall for years. Like the whole, oh, don't worry, you can still use your Tactical Marines. They'll be fine. That's silliness. No, no, they're gonna get replaced. Old greedy James, he wants your money. I missed a spot with that bone and yellow um, treatment there on the side of the helmet, like right here. That's okay because, as I said, this yellow is going to take like 3 or 4 passes with that bone over under yellow treatment. And the space on the backpack here. See it if I can get it so that you can see it too. Yeah, it's a tough one. I still like hitting that area. Like I said earlier, I'm not crazy about the parts that I can't see, but if there is a chance I will see it, you know, if I like flip a model over because he's taking cover, gone to ground, or he's stunned or something, I'll still paint his underside. But I'm not going to paint something that like I've glued shut, or there's just no plausible way I'd see that piece in a day to day. Yeah, I mean, with the new edition, like the what is the new Rubicon? Oh no, they're not actually replacing the Primaris. I was joking about that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did in like 15 years, 20 years. I don't know. Well, the difference between the Primaris squad and the tactical squad, the intercessors, well, with all the Primaris squads, is that they all have, and this kind of gets me. I don't know why, but they all have the same weapon per squad. They all have flame, whatever the new flamer is. They all have the new plasma uh, annihilator. What I don't, I honestly don't even know what Primaris weapons are called. Um, But like what I liked about the tactical marine squad was it's like, all right, you split them into two. That one's the missile launcher squad. That one's the flamer squad. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna give them a melta and a multi melta. You know, that I really appreciated the flexibility of the war gear options. Oh, and the sergeant with the power fist. Always a sergeant with the power fist. All right, what am I missing here? Ah, yes. I do think that the Centurions, the big bulky guys, were a little silly because they were putting power armor guys in extra power armor. Um, and it's like you already had the Terminator. Like, what do you need the extra big guy for? All right, let's pin wash some of the shoulder here. There we go. Make sure he's still in shop. My nails. I cuticles. My God. You know, it's funny. I never given a shit about my nails, but now they are public information. My fingernails. My cuticles clean. I have no idea. I just got the good cuticle genes. I guess I don't know, man. All right, I am painting the right shoulder pad in a beautiful checker pattern. So I am going to break away from the yellow and do a nice little light gray coat here, just so I don't have to look at the fact that that particular yellow panel has not been lined. I'm going to build white over top of this later. Excellent. looking lamenterish. And now I think we can do the base. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna kind of finish the base. And that starts with a buff dry brush. Now let's pick a good dry brush out. I don't want something too wide like this one, because I want a little bit of control, but I want something with a nice wide spread. I think this one will work. Excellent. A little moon texture. And then I'm going to use a burnt umber wash over top of that. The beautiful thing about a dry brush is because it's already dry, you don't need to wait for it to dry. There's a more eloquent way to phrase that. All right, and then just a little bit of. I feel like I don't use a brown wash for the bases. Check my notes. Oh, there it goes. I really feel like I use a black wash on the base. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to paint it brown, and if it's not what I think it is, I can always paint it black later. No, I'm definitely using a black wash. I have to write my my recipes down because I often come back to an army like years down the road and completely forget which paints that I have used. There we go. That's more like it. And we can keep it thin too. Exactly. I had this like I had it written down in a work notebook I used like 4 years ago, and it's just absolute scribbles. Vallejo paints have like a number code to them, like here 70.942. So I would just like write, like arms 942 for example, and like I had and in the worst handwriting, so I had to like kind of remember how to translate my own scribbled thoughts there. Let's do another round of that green. That grain. I do wish I had done that with like my old Chaos Space Marine army because I was thinking about. I've been doing a lot about thinking about repainting my old armies too. Although there are some that like I don't want to touch. Like there, like my Chaos Space Marine army is my oldest army that I think is decent enough where it doesn't need to be redone. I have like an old Warhammer Fantasy Beastmen army that could use a repaint. I have an old Empire army that I could repaint. I have for one video, but I did not do a good enough job according to the public. So I got roasted a little bit in the comments, but my God, some of those comments were funny. Oh, that was good. That was good. It was a fun learning experience, though. Um, as it always is. There you go. Very nice. I'm just taking a look to see what areas I forgot to pin wash. The elbow crease here could probably use a little whoop. Probably that wrist joint as well. Hit that spot again. Well, what can you have if not a good attitude? You know? Here's what I'll say though. I got a pretty for my numbers, I got a decent amount of views on the real version of that I made. Um the analytics were pretty decent, but so I like to think that the writing on that real script was pretty good, and then just like the payoff wasn't there for the people, for the masses. Because like we're talking earlier about painting units fast, right? It was 10 Empire swordsmen. I painted them in a weekend. I stripped and painted them in a weekend, and I really cranked them out. But you know, much like Instagram has done for people's appearances, Instagram and YouTube have changed the beauty standards of models. Tabletop standard isn't good enough anymore. The stuff that people are putting out for the Youngbloods competition in the Golden Demon is like Slayer Sword winning 20 years ago. It's insane that what minors are able to pull off now in the age of digital tutorials, you know, widespread knowledge and availability of tools. The standards have shifted. The standards have shifted. Let's gonna take another look to see what if I missed any spots here with this wash. Where are we at? Eh. I'm a kind of ambivalent about those YouTube changes. Because the numbers between like 4,000 hours in a year and 8,000, like the in terms of like the ad revenue, is not tremendous. Like you can get those 4,000 watch hours, but you're still not. It's not going to be enough for like a, you know, you can't. You're not going to quit your day job over it. right? Um, the only real thing with the AI videos that bothers me are the AI video essays. Like those drive me nuts when I'm watching a video like that's supposed to be informative, excuse me. And it's just like AI imagery, AI voiceover, ChatGPT script. It's like no. That's why we need AI essays um, that are garbage, but human made. I guess I don't know. People will watch what they watch. Um, some people don't care whether it comes from a person or if it comes from a machine. You know, some people can't tell the difference. A lot of people just straight up do not care. But say la vie. All right, I got one thing, one little itty bitty detail I still want to do. But that's probably going to be it for me after that. And that's just this little guy up top here. Yeah, I'll do the red too. Why not? Yeah, the AI music is pretty bananas. You want to put your tinfoil hat on. So Spotify apparently has like I've heard this conspiracy theory. There's a lot of like popular like there's some lady just got a huge deal, like a record deal, multi-million for an AI artist. She just writes the lyrics with ChatGPT and then puts them into Suno and generates a song. And it's like literally anybody could do that. Why is this one in particular getting millions of dollars for it? Like who it's not Spotify making that deal. But I think like Spotify has been sneaking like AI into um like different playlists that they build. I feel like I hear more AI country music than I hear AI metal music, though. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the AI metal is just so good that I don't know that it's AI, which is also a possibility. The real industry plants. Well, here's a good thing. Here's a little good thing. Wait a minute. I was gonna say AI can't paint a mini, but AI can generate a 3D model. Maybe not a good one, although also that information could be dated now. Maybe AI can generate a good one. And they have colored filaments and stuff. With a good enough printer, maybe AI could generate a fully painted model and just print it out. Because that was a thing with GW for a while too, where like they would release a teaser image, and then someone would just take those teaser images, pop them into AI, and then 3D print like the actual mini, like way before it had even been released, like a very accurate reproduction of it. That's crazy. Yeah, the bad country is definitely, and maybe that's why I think I've seen more AI country music. Um, is because it's so comically bad. It's obvious. Well, GW does release colored sprues. Like sometimes, like in there's that box set with the Blood Ravens in it. Those colors were red. Like the sprues there were red. Sometimes in like the Space Marines come out on a blue sprue, and yeah, special occasions. They did say that they were releasing pre-painted terrain. I don't know if that's out yet, but that was like a thing, I guess. It was a thing, whatever that may mean. I don't know. Definitely like it's not as like jaw-dropping as GW releasing a pre-painted model, but I think it's coming. I think they're absolutely going to release pre-painted models. Well, I don't think that they're going to try and rebuild the business around it. You know, like they're still selling paints and glue and brushes and paint holders and paint water pots and all that stuff. Um, but they're going to have the option out there, you know, because there's a ton of people who buy models and don't paint them. Or for like a collector who's like into the lore, but like maybe not as much into the the hobby side. You know, well, don't worry about it. Here's a pre-painted mini. Do you want Ultramarines? Good. Here's some Ultramarines. Oh, you wanted Blood Ravens? We haven't made that yet. You can paint it though. Otherwise, you're stuck with Ultramarines. Ooh, Rough Riders. Cool minis. Have a good night, sir. All right. We've made it past the edge highlighting. Oh, well, actually, we have not even gotten there. We have not made it past the edge highlighting. But we got the base coats down. We got the pin washing in. We even started on the. Oh, that's terrible though. I can't let that go. That break between the handguard and the main sort of body there. It's always a push and pull, a give and take. You know, as you progress, some areas will inevitably catch some goofs. But a good mini painting, a well painted mini, or I don't know, verbiage of your choice. It's just a matter of like when you want to say, "Hey, that's enough." Pencils down. Like you can push and pull mistakes all you want to. Correct errors. That's really what it comes down to: is your patience to correct your own mistakes is what will make a decent mini versus not. And get the eyes. Oop. That's always a nerve-wracking pull. Whoop. All right. And a little skull in the back here. Very good. And like I said, eventually we're gonna highlight this guy with orange, and that red's really gonna sing. But like we were talking about the yellow, that orange requires a build up. So like I have to have a nice solid red underneath of it before it. Otherwise it just kind of looks weird and desaturated. Look at that. We're halfway there. I don't know if I'm gonna do the. All right, let's give him a little something on the shoulder pad. How about red? No. Let's do yes. Let's do like a red, and black, like half and half, kind of diagonal, I guess. Just so we remember that this is the guy that we painted on stream here. Give him a little special honorific. My one of my first armies was orange and black. That was a pretty fun one. In fact, I was one point where like my 40k and my fantasy army were both orange and black. There we go. A little special shoulder pad here. Knee pad. It's not a shoulder pad at all. There we go. Just something to stand out amidst all the other yellow fellas, you know. But that's in a good spot. It's getting late. I gotta go to work in the morning. So with that, I say adieu. Yeah, I do an orange Warcry army. It could be fun. But yeah, I wish you all a very good night. Thank you for coming to my live stream. That was a lot of fun. I think I'm going to do another one soon. So keep posted.